I'm making a shark deck profile. As far as I can tell with this deck while I played it, it is very Xyz heavy and really fun to play with, especially at my locals since there's a lot of virtual world players. So it makes one card in the extra deck very beneficial, and I haven't figured it out yet, but I do know there's a way in this deck to summon two toads with Draco Future. Haven't figured that out yet. I've been able to do it once, but I wasn't paying attention because I just kind of mindlessly playing. And the next thing I realized, oh, I did that. Anyway, starting off with the monsters, I play 3 copies of Buzzsaw Shark. Buzzsaw Shark has the effect of once returning, you can target a fish, 1 water monster you control. Special summon from your deck in defense position. 1 fish monster has the same level, but its effects are negated. And I feel like it has more than that. Okay, and when you use this effect, you cannot summon from the extra except for Xyz monsters, which is fine because the extra X is entirely Xyz monsters. Also, when it's used for the Xyz summon a water monster, it can be treated as a level 3 or 5. Then I play 3 copies of Lantern Shark. Lantern Shark's effect is, when it's normal or special summoned, you can activate its effect to special summon 1 level 4 fish monster from your hand in defense mode. And when you use this effect, you cannot summon from the extra deck except for Xyz monsters. And once again, when it's used for the Xyz summon a water Xyz monster, then you can treat it as level 3 or 5. Then I play 3 copies of Double Fin Shark. Double Fin Shark has the effect of when it's normal summon, you can target 1 level 4 fish in your graveyard in special summon defense mode with its effects negated. And when you use this effect, you cannot summon monsters from the extra deck except water Xyz. Then I play 3 copies of Xyz Remora. Xyz Remora has the effect of you can detach 2 materials from Xyz monsters you control to special summon it, and when it's special summoned by its own effect, you can then special summon or target 2 fish, level 4 water fish monsters from your graveyard and special summon them. This card is actually kind of funny because it's more or less just an extender for more Xyz plays. Then I play 3 copies of Silent Angler. Silent Angler just says if you control a water monster, you can special summon it from your hand, but when you do, you cannot special summon monsters from your hand for the rest of the turn. Then I play 3 copies of Beautiful Princess. It just has the effect of when it's normal or special summoned, you can banish it, special summon 1 level 4 or lower fish monster from your deck, except another copy of Beautiful Princess. And you can only use each effect once per turn. Then I play 2 copies of Lifeless Leaf Fish. And testing, I actually like this over Pot of Avarice. But in the fact that when it's normal summoned, you can send a fish monster from your deck to the graveyard except for another copy of Lifeless Leaf Fish. Which that effect hardly ever gets used because typically this is what gets summoned off a Buzzsaw Shark. But it has the effect in the graveyard. You can banish it, target 3 level 4 fish monsters in your grave. Or 3 level 4 water fish monsters in your grave, shuffle them back to the deck and draw 1 card. Then I play 2 copies of Aqua Spirit just to be a level 4 water extender. Free summon by banishing a water from your grave. It has more to its effect, but that's pretty much all you ever use it for. Just special, like making it water Xyz. It hardly ever stays on the field long enough for once per turn during your opponent's standby phase. You can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, change that target's battle position. If you do, it cannot change its battle position for the rest of its turn. That effect is never used, ever. It's just used because it's a water extender. Then, to finish off the monsters, I play 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. And that is it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells. I play 1 copy of 1 for 1 for Beautiful Princess. 1 copy of Called by the Grave for hand traps. 1 Monster Reborn just because it's an extender. Or it can even be used to bring back a monster that and turn the tides of the battle. Then I play 1 copy of Rank Up Magic, the 7th one. Rank Up Magic 7th one has the effect of it can't be activated unless you draw it for your draw phase and reveal it until your main phase 1. But once it's activated, you can special summon one number Xyz monster that has a number from 101 to 107. Special summon it, and then summon a chaos number with the same number. So typically with this, you can bring back Silent Honor Arc, and then use it summon in Silent Honor Dark. Then I do play the one copy of Rank Up Magic Barion's Force, because I do play 2 chaos numbers. And then I play 2 copies of Pot of Avarice. I'm actually thinking about taking these 2 copies of Pot of Avarice out for either Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster, or 2 copies of Generation Force, which just lets you search for Xyz or Mora. Then I play 2 copies of Whitefish Salvage. Whitefish Salvage has the once per turn effect of you can target a level 4. I think it has to be level 4. Nope, you just target 1 fish in your graveyard and add it to your hand. And then if it's destroyed by an opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, you can take 1 fish monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or summon it. So I like it because it lets you recur resources, and if your opponent tries to get rid of it, it can just be an extender. Then I play 3 copies of Forbidden Chalice. I like Chalice just because they can negate my opponent's monster effects during their turn, or during my turn. But if you don't want to play Chalice, then just replace it with Effect Veiler. And then to finish off that's it for spells, and finish off the traps, I play 3 copies of Impermanence. Just because I honestly think it's really good right now. That is it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. I play 2 copies of Toad. This is just a generic negate that sends an Aqua from your hand or field to the graveyard to negate opponent's activated monster, spell, or trap. The activation of a spell, trap, or an activated monster effect. Negate and destroy it, and then you can set it to your field if you want to. It also has the effect of when it's sent from the field to the grave, then you can target 1 water monster to your grave and return to the... I don't remember if it's hand or deck, but typically it's targeting itself so it can recur itself later. Then, because my locals has a bunch of Virtual World running around, like there are at least 5 or 6 people playing Virtual World, I play 3 copies of Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller just shuts off your opponent's grave effects during their... or just by using material, but as long as it has a water monster as material, it increases the attack of all of your water monsters by 500. So I kept getting all 3 out as soon as possible, especially against Virtual World. Just because as long as one of them has material, then... or at least as long as they each have 1 material, then they're each 3,200. And any other water monster I feel would be gaining 1,500. But that doesn't happen much, so I just like it for the attack boost because sometimes it's needed. Then I play the 1 copy of number 101, Silent Honor Arc. Honestly, I thought about reducing Abyss Dweller to 1 and playing in 2 more copies of this, because Silent Honor Arc is still a really good card. And I actually like being able to summon whenever I need to. Then I play 2 copies of Bahamut Shark. Bahamut Shark is actually a soft once per turn, so if you make 2 of them in 1 turn, you activate both of their effects. Or the effect of both of them, which lets you summon a water Xyz monster as rank... let's say rank 3 or lower. You have 1 rank 3 or lower water monster. And then... but however, when you use this effect, it can't attack for the rest of the turn. But typically, if you make it going first, then it doesn't matter that it can't attack. Now, I do play the 1 copy of Shark Drake because you can't really play Sharks without playing Shark Drake. And Shark Drake's effect is just you can detach 1 material from it to, when it destroys a monster in battle, to bring that destroyed monster back from your opponent's graveyard with 1,000 attack, and then Shark Drake can attack again. Then I play the 1 copy of number 73, Abyss Splash. Abyss Splash has the effect of once per turn during either player's turn as a quick effect. It can use 1 material to double its attack points, but then any damage your opponent takes in battles involving it are halved. So I like to use this because typically Abyss Splash helps me get over cards like Dragoon, because Dragoon will typically negate something, so it'll be at 40 or 4,000. Well, if I summon Abyss Splash and attack using Abyss Splash's effect, then the Dragoon will be... will be 4,000 against Abyss Splash's 48. And the only reason I do this is because the locals I go to, some people just sit on Dragoon and hope for the best. But if I wasn't facing when I'm facing a deck like Dragon Link, I don't make this card at all because unless I have the rank up magic card for a Super Splash, but that's different. Then I put one copy of Valiant Shark Lancer. Valiant Shark Lancer has the effect of once per turn you can target one monster your opponent controls, detach a material from it, destroy that monster. And it's a quick effect while you control another Water Xyz monster. And then if a Water Xyz monster on your field is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can take one rank up magic card from your deck and stack it on top of your deck. Which most people don't realize that effect, so they'll get rid of something else that like Dweller, and then Shark Lancer will stack rank up magic 7 on top of my deck. And if I want to, I could then even go summon Chaos number 107, 4,500 beat stick that prevents my opponent using cards or effects for the turn that can't be responded to. However, that's not this deck, so what I end up using it for is Chaos number 101, Silent Honor Dark. Silent Honor Dark is probably the one card that I played that absolutely no one knew what it did because of how when I last played this card in a tournament, I ended up winning because no one knew what a Chaos number was, let alone that Silent Honor Dark can just keep reviving itself and restoring life points and then keep attaching opponents special summon monsters. I just remember this card was the sole reason I managed to beat Burning Abyss when they were everywhere as a pure deck. But anyway, its effect is once per turn, it can target one special summon monster on your opponent's field and then attach it to it as material. And then if it is sent from the field to the graveyard by an opponent's card, while Silent Honor Arc is in the grave, including its initial destruction, you can special summon it back from the graveyard, and you gain life points equal to its attack points, but it can't attack when it uses this effect. So you can't just summon it, take an opponent's special summon monster, crash it, bring it back, attack it over something that it can destroy, and then attach another monster to it as material. You can just attach, crash, attach, and that's it. But I do really like the card. And once the Legendary Duelist of the Abyss gets released, I'll be doing another Shark profile. Now I play the one copy of Chaos number 73 Abyss Super Splash. I like Super Splash just because it can't be destroyed by card effects. And while it has Abyss Splash on material, it's a walking honest for water monsters. Just detach a material, your water monster gains the attack of the monster it's battling until the end of the damage step. Then to finish off the extra deck, I play one copy of Utopic Future and the one copy of Utopic Draco Future. I like Draco Future in this deck just because, again, you make 2 sharks, make 2 toads, overlay 2 sharks for Future, and then overlay Future for Draco Future. The Draco Future is a fun card because of how you can Z-summon it by using a Utopic Future you control as material. And then when it's a free monster negate that then takes control of the negated monster. So if I go first and make this and my opponent doesn't realize what it does, which I'm pretty sure everyone does at this point, and they activate Dragoon's effect, it can negate the Dragoon and then steal the Dragoon. But that is it for my Shark deck profile. If you have any ideas of what I can do to improve the deck, any decks you like to see face each other, or have any decks you'd like to see face each other, or any deck profiles you'd like to see me make, feel free, or any ways to improve the deck, feel free to comment those below. Thanks for watching.